The last piece I want to show you, always have to have a strong group of people. You see all this activity back here? Because if you don't have people that work with your mom in the movement who don't need to be up front, that can move your technology and do all of that stuff, then the movement will implode.
That's right.
You have to have some people who love doing the administrative thing. And that's when you see Ms. Charmaine Turner here, or Linda, and even Roz a lot of times, executive director. She may never be at the mic, but making sure that things are moving. Right? Al is going to give us a period, and then we're going to try to look at a video, and then we're going to take questions.
My sisters and brothers, thank you for hosting us. In 1961, 62, I worked in Northern Virginia Corps, and during the mid-60s, I worked for the Poverty War. And then in 1967, along with Bob and Dottie Zellner, they moved back to New Orleans, and Margaret Harry and I moved to Pikeville, Kentucky, at the behest of Stokely Carmichael and Jim Foreman and the leadership of SNCC to try to carry out the aspect of black power that nobody ever talks about, that is winning white people to the struggle against racism. And we, Bob and Dottie, worked in lower Mississippi along with some other ex-SNCC people, and Margaret and I worked in Appalachia. We were arrested for sedition for trying to overthrow the government because of this idea of black and white people working together. Our house was dynamited, and we spent about 20 years fighting against the powers that be in legal things. That's how I became a lawyer, trying to stay out of jail. But I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about two theoretical things that I've learned from working with this young brother here for the last 10 years, who is a genius. I used to say he's a prophet, but I decided because so damn many white people have listened to white supremacist ideology for their whole lives that they can't believe a black person can be a genius. And that's going to be my second point, but let me get to the first point. Bob's the one that taught me this. I'm going to ask you a very simple theoretical question. Is it race or class?
Both.
No, almost. What is it, Bob?
The answer is yes.
Well, let's let that sink in. That's my first theoretical point.
Yes.
Only people in New York City sit around and debate whether it's race or class. And the minute you go south of the Potomac River, you know it's both. And they're inextricably connected. You can't, I'm a pretty good theoretician, but I've never been able to separate the two. So do not get in any stupid debates about that. Just challenge the people. You go out, work on race, work on class, preferably work on both, and you'll see. The realities of the struggle will teach you. Now that gets me to my second point, that I was trained by Ella Baker and Miles Horton and Paulo Freire, and the whole idea of I call it the inchworm method of learning. That is, you know how an inchworm goes and then pulls his ass up to his head, you know how it goes, like that. And basically that's the way we learn. But the first thing you do is, you go out a little better. My brother here, he does never, he thinks like crazy, he's thinking all the time. He's thinking while he's sitting up here, well, I'm going to shut up, I'm a damn lawyer. But he says, I remember 3 or 4 times that I've had this experience, Coder's had it 100 times. He says, what do you think if we go out and we get arrested on what was the first day? April 29th. And I said, well, I think that's a good idea. And he said, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I said, well, you do it, and then we'll see what happens. And the next week, you know what? That was 17. The next week was about 25, maybe 34. It just quadrupled and
one day was 150 something.
200 one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, read this book up here. So, and each time we learn each time you do it. Don't sit around and talk about doing something. You got a good idea, try it out, but try it out like Paulo Freire would do. Try to look at it and say, what are we going to learn from this? How are we going to learn? How are we going to improve it? Okay? Now, this is particularly important. Now my second point. On the white-black question, the centrality of the struggle against racism, particularly in the South, but as Malcolm said, anything south of the Canadian border is South.
Yeah.
So the centrality of that struggle is important, but that doesn't give you many clues about what you're supposed to do about it.
That's right.
And I believe, and I know Bob would agree with me, that white people who are committed to dismantling the system of racism in this country, which is a revolutionary perspective, incidentally, is that we have a special role because we're like spies. You know, people think we're white. We're really not. So we can slip into white groups and make comments and just blow people's minds. Like, I'll give you a couple examples, and I'm suggesting to the white people that are here, and as we break out of this old parallel movement, black people over here, white people over there, because that's what Reverend Barber's done. He's busted that idea that that black people's job is to do something about racism, white people's job is to do environmental, gay people, women, labor. That's the white job, and black job is over here. No, this is everybody's job.
Amen.
Now, I'm going to give you a couple examples of where white spies might be of some help, and then I'm going to sit down. So we have this prophet leading this movement, the NAACP, which is about 20,000 people, about 100 branches all across the state, 99% black, at least it was when I first joined. Now it's about 95%. We got some new white people coming in. He's talking to you about some of our hillbillies out there we're getting out. All right. I can use hillbilly because I was a hillbilly. So the question is, when white people decide to join the movement, they're still a little rough around the edges. And the ones that are sitting back, like some of our liberal friends in North Carolina, kind of watching, they cannot believe that a black man is leading the progressive movement.
Go ahead.
Think about it. This is what we've done. That in most white people's mind, I'm assuming most of the white people here have passed this stage, but in most white people's